Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you my February book haul. The first book that I received for review is called The Line Between. This is by Tosca. This is the story of a cult escapee. So this chick right here has escaped from a doomsday cult, and as she emerges into the world is actually in the middle of chaos, an apocalyptic disease event. And so she's been sheltered from the world itself, and when she's thrust into the world, it's basically everything that she was taught to be afraid of. Her sister also escapes and brings with her the key to solving or resolving the widespread disease, and it's up to her and her sister to try to get to people who can actually do something with the evidence that they have. To be honest with you, it sounds like a really crazy, and it's a very difficult sort of plot and genre bending book to explain, but it came out on January 29th, so it is out already, and what's out there are very positive thoughts about it. People are calling it surprising. I will get to this one as soon as I can. Like I said, it's already been released, so I'll try to do that sooner rather than later. Next is the book Call Me Evie. This is by J.P. Pomare. This book releases March 5th. It is the story of a 17-year-old girl who is on the run with an older man, and he claims that she did something terrible, and he's protecting her from people who are hunting her down or looking for her to punish her. The truth of the matter is she doesn't remember anything about the time and place that he says these events happen. So she herself is kind of conflicted, wondering if this man is her savior or if he's actually her captor. I have already started reading this. I'm roughly 100 pages into it, and you should be hearing my thoughts about it very soon. Next is The Perfect Girlfriend by Karen Hamilton. This is for the US/North American release. This is the story of a flight attendant who is 100 billion% devoted to the man that she loves. Unfortunately, he broke up with her 6 months ago, and she's still convinced she's the perfect girlfriend. And, so I think we have some stalking things going on here. The ratings that already exist for this book or its previous editions are mid-range, 3.6-ish. Pretty much on Goodreads. So it has been blurbed by Alice Feeney, CJ Tudor, and Fiona Cummins. So Allie Land also. Some popular thriller writers. I'll try to get this one read by the March 26th United States release date. I feel a little less dedicated to doing so because it's already been out for so long in other parts of the world. I won't spend a ton of time on the next 3 books because they're all mentioned in my 2019 anticipated releases part 1 video. The first is The Night Olivia Fell. This is the story of a mother who's trying to piece together the life and lifestyle of her pregnant daughter who fell from a bridge and lies in the hospital on life support. I've heard this is a crazy emotional read. It is out officially now. Obviously, I wouldn't be holding it. Next is Forget You Know Me by Jessica Strawser. This is the story I told you about where 2 friends are video chatting across the miles, and one friend excuses herself and leaves the room, and her other friend sees something significant or shocking on the video feed. And so she immediately tries to go to her friend's rescue and is met not with gratitude, but instead directions to basically leave and forget that she knows her and not get involved and go away. So I bought this book purely to find out what the friend sees on the video. And finally, of my anticipated releases is The Hiding Place by CJ Tudor. This is the story of a man who returns to his hometown where people have very mixed feelings about him because in the past he was involved in a controversial incident resulted, I believe, in the disappearance of his own sister and perhaps a death of another character. It's kind of ambiguous at this point, and I'm trying to stay away from reviews that are too detailed about it, but it does so far sound pretty reminiscent of C.J. Tudor's first book, The Chalk Man. Unfortunately, I've not heard super great things about it from the people who have already read it, but I liked The Chalk Man. People didn't have awesome things to say about The Chalk Man either. I personally liked it, so I'm hoping that I will like this too. The rest of the books I just picked up because I just wanted to pick them up. My husband and I took a trip to Barnes & Noble. I don't know why we do that. You can find books in great shape or brand new for good prices, and yet we go into Barnes & Noble and spend money. You know, we're new parents, and so when we get the opportunity to leave the house, we don't care what we're doing. It doesn't matter. It's freedom for a very short window of time, a very small window of time. So we're just like, oh, well, let's go spend $160 Barnes & Noble because why not? He got books too. I'm about to show you 3 books that were not $160. So the first book I want to show you is Black, and this is by Ted Dekker. Here's the thing. I have other Ted Dekker books because they all sound really, really good, but I haven't read any of them yet. So it's a series of 4 books: Black, Green, White, and Red. But here's what this claims. This claims that you can start this series either with Black or with Green. Unlike most series, the Circle series is truly circular, meaning Green, Book 0, both begins the series for those who have not yet read Black, Red, or White, and it ends the series for those who have read Black, Red, and White. Have no fear, the story works seamlessly either way, like a circle or a 0. The choice is yours. Start with Black and then read Red, White, and end with Green, or start with Green and move on to Black, Red, and White. So this is just an experiment for me, like a fascinating experiment to see if an author truly could pull something like that off. If so, holy color me impressed. Fascinated by this concept that the same book could be the first book or the last book in a series. I'm just saying. And it's been hanging out there for a while, so by all means, if I'm the last person on the face of the earth to hear about or read this, then please let me know. Okay, the second book that I bought at Barnes & Noble is called The Neighbors. This is by Hannah Mary McKinnon. This is the story of a woman who unfortunately was responsible for the death of her brother. And through that grief and guilt, she ended up breaking up with her boyfriend, and I believe hid the fact that she was responsible from him. She goes on to marry the man who was the first person at the scene of this accident where her brother died. And so they're together, living semi-happily, considering they both carry a really heavy weight. Meanwhile, Liam, the ex-boyfriend that she broke up with because she didn't want him to know the truth, he moves in next door with his wife and family. So we've got these 2 people living next door to each other who used to have a relationship and whose relationship ended maybe under circumstances that had nothing to do with their own compatibility or feelings for each other. And where on earth is this going to go? Obviously, everybody's going to find out the truth about everybody else, but I mean, like, how awkward. Like, can you imagine if the for sale sign at the neighbor's house disappears and your ex moves in? Whoa. Finally, at Barnes & Noble, I picked up Best Day Ever by Rouda. This is the story of a man named Paul who has a wonderful wife. And of course, they're happy and their life is beautiful. And so they decide to take a romantic weekend together because that's what people in love do. And then it says, but as Paul and Mia drive out of the city and toward the countryside, a spike of tension begins to wedge itself between them and doubts start to rise. How much do they trust each other? And how perfect is their marriage, or any marriage really? Like, you think you're happy, and then you have to spend a couple hours on a car ride with your spouse, and like, that's how you know if you love somebody. If you can spend an extended amount of time with someone in a car, it's a true measure of a successful relationship. The story starts at 9 a.m., ends at 4:45 a.m. So this literally is a day, a 24-hour frame of time, which is exciting to me. I don't often read books that take place in one day, but I feel like they're usually really epic stories. Lastly, I have 3 books that I picked up from, they're all used. Yeah, 2 of them are from thrift books, and 1 of them was just purchased used on Amazon. The first is called The Retreat. This is by Mark Edwards. This is the story of a woman whose daughter supposedly drowns, a young daughter supposedly drowns, and yet her daughter's body is never recovered. In the wake of that tragedy and our main character's grief, she turns her house into a writer's retreat, and a horror writer shows up and for some reason becomes obsessed with solving the mystery of this daughter who supposedly died. The book mentions eerie events that start to happen as soon as this guy arrives, and secrets are revealed, and these 2 are lured into the woods by the promise of answers. And I don't know, it just sounds really creepy and eerie. I bought this used from thrift books, but this is actually originally an Amazon book published by Amazon. Next is the book A Secondhand Life. This is by Pamela Crane. This is the story of a young girl who's in a tragic, car accident? It just says a freak collision. It nearly dies. She has to receive a heart transplant, and the heart she's given is from a young murder victim. And everything goes well. She survives and continues living her life. But 20 years later, she starts getting nightmares about this unsolved murder. She becomes determined to avenge the former owner of the heart and also kind of at the same time save herself from, suffering these nightmares and this organ memory, which, is that a thing? Because that sounds awful. Lastly is a book so unlike me. It's called The Color of B. Larkham's Murder. This is by Sarah J. Harris. This is the story of a boy who sees color. There's an actual condition where you hear sound, like you see sound in the form of colors. And so he witnesses B. Larkham's murder because he hears it and he sees the color. And so he tries to solve the murder by replicating that color, by trying to find that color again. Does that make sense? Have you guys heard of this condition? I don't know what it's called. Again, something else that I need to look up. It is the first adult novel by the author. The circumstances of this book fascinate me. And I'm just obsessed with this cover. I just think this cover is super beautiful. This by no means is a new book. I think it came out in 2018. June of 2018 was the North American release. It was published in Great Britain also in 2018, but by a different publisher. But there you have it. Those are the books that I have to show you for February. If you've read any of them or have anything that you think or want to tell me about any of them, leave all that stuff in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.